Good afternoon, my name is Paula Parreira and today I'll present to you NanoPyl. NanoPyl stems from a global problem, the chronic infection caused by a bacteria called Helicobacter pylori. 50% of us in this room and 50% of the global population are infected by this bacteria. It causes gastric infections with different outcomes. It can range from chronic gastritis, peptic ulcers, and in some cases, it progresses toward gastric cancer. In fact, 90% of all the gastric cancer cases, the fifth most common and the fifth deadliest worldwide, are caused by H. pylori infection. And the tendency, unfortunately, is upwards. Being a bacterial infection, the standard of care are antibiotics, and we are all aware of the antibiotic-resistant crisis. Regarding H. pylori, there are several iterations to the therapy that have been made throughout the years. We have the triple therapy, that despite not being the gold standard, is still widely prescribed and has a failure rate of around 40%. Then we have the gold standard, the quadruple bismuth-based therapy, that has seen its efficacy declining over the last 10 years, and, more importantly, leaves around 1 billion people without access to this treatment because bismuth is banned in several markets. Overall, we are left with 4 billion people infected with the only known carcinogenic bacteria with no universal effective treatment. And serendipity found us working in the lab. We were trying to encapsulate an antimicrobial compound against Helicobacter pylori when we saw that our nanoparticles, blank, the drug-free nanoparticles, were specifically and highly effective against Helicobacter pylori. And this is NanoPyl. NanoPyl are drug-free nanostructured lipid carriers that are composed by generally recognized safe lipid excipients already used in the pharma industry. The manufacturing process is quite straightforward, hot homogenization and ultrasonication, and we have a patent on this. So we saw in vitro that the healthy H. pylori membrane that you can see here, when in contact with NanoPyl, is completely disrupted by a physical, fast, and irreversible mechanism. Then, in vivo, using our mice model, we saw that we had at least 90% of a bacterial burden reduction, 50% of the treated animals were completely infection-free, and, most importantly, all of them retained their gut microbiota integrity, which is something that not happens when we take a course of antibiotics, since it causes dysbiosis. NanoPyl has a unique position combining microbiota preservation with a novel bioengineered mechanism, and it also surpasses its main competitors, overcoming some of its drawbacks, such as the induction of resistance from antibiotics and microbiome disruption. Regarding the regulatory pathway, NanoPyl can take a dual pathway. So the primary pathway would be a medicinal product that would take the EMA approval and all of the compliance with this, but there's an alternative pathway that could be explored as a food supplement, positioning NanoPyl to gastric health care, because we can encapsulate other compounds in these nanoparticles, such as omega-3 or vitamin A. This would allow to position NanoPyl as a food supplement, and this would accelerate translation and market access. Currently, we have a granted European patent that covers NLC composition and its therapeutic use for H. pylori management, but in the future, we would like to have a geographic expansion to other countries with high prevalence of infection. And this is also part of our roadmap, that we would like to have our preclinical studies started by having the formulation development for the pilot process, and all these 4 phases would be possible by having this strategic partnership with Tecnimede. We have a team with a scientific core. We also have medical doctors involved in the development of this strategy, and we believe that being awarded the George Ruas Award and the establishment of a strategic partnership with Tecnimede would be the way to move forward. This is not just an improvement. This is a revolution on the way how we can treat a gastric infection. We believe that this would allow us to have the fulfillment of our vision, that is to have a healthy gut and a happy life. Thank you for your attention and for the honor to be here.